On Friday, February 26th, nothing could prepare me for the way the day would unfold and the changes that would take place in our lives. I had a feeling that something wasn't right. I had a feeling that something was wrong. I wasn't able to get a hold of Alex. I asked our neighbor to go check at his house. He said that his car was at home and that he was probably inside sleeping. And in a panic state, I said, "Will you please do what you need to do to get in the house to check on him?" 20 minutes later, my boyfriend Lee got a phone call that Tim was telling him that Alex was gone. And when Lee put the phone down, I knew there was something wrong when I looked at his face. And the words that came from my mouth, for as simple as the words were, I still didn't understand what he meant when he said Alex is gone. What did gone mean? He told me that we needed to get to Alex's house. He told me that the police were on their way. As we were on our way to the house, I kept saying, "Not my Alex, not my Alex." A parent's worst nightmare was unfolding, and it was happening. It was happening to me. I never thought that I would be experiencing losing a child. And as we were driving, I was hoping that maybe, knowing that the police were there, maybe he could be revived, maybe he would be all right. But as we pulled up, the ambulance was pulling away, and I got out and I yelled, "Do you have Alex? Do you have Alex with you?" And the person in the ambulance just shook their head, and a police officer came up to me, and they just said, he's gone. He's gone, Kim." From that moment, things were very blurry for a while. I knew the thoughts were going through my head. How was I going to tell my parents that their only grandson was gone? How was I going to tell his only sister that he was gone? He was so full of life. He was full of energy. As the day went on, I left there not knowing exactly how Alex died. We didn't know if it was an overdose, if he had fallen and hit his head. We didn't know what happened. I called the coroner later on that evening, and as she told me the words that I was completely unprepared to hear, that Alex had died from a fatal dose of heroin laced with fentanyl. The words heroin just went through me like fire. I couldn't believe that we were discussing heroin in the same context as my son Alex. As the days went on and the funeral was planned, the entire community was in shock. Alex was a healthy young man. Alex went to the gym every day. He ate healthy food. He had a good job. We didn't see any signs. His life hadn't fallen apart. How could it have been heroin? As I went forward and I learned a few things about the deadly drug heroin and fentanyl, I realized that there were signs. There were some signs leading up to Alex's death. I didn't know what they were signs of. I got an education instantly that I never wanted. An education I pray that many other parents never need to have. We decided to go public as a family and tell the story about Alex, because as we were going through the funeral that day, people kept whispering in our ears, "My grandson has the same problem. My granddaughter, my neighbor, my friend." Alex didn't die in vain, and the only thing that I had left to do was to find something good and carry on Alex's name and try to bring change to a nationwide epidemic. If this sounds familiar, you've been paying attention. It is a nationwide epidemic. People are mixing lethal doses of fentanyl with heroin, and people don't understand how deadly that combination is. This Saturday, we're having an event at the Northwest Arena. We're having 2 hockey games in honor of Alex. Alex was an avid hockey player and loved the sport. After 2 hockey games, we'll have a red carpet ceremony recognizing other families in our community who have lost loved ones to this. We'll also hear from some people in recovery who are living fulfilled lives. During the event, WCA Hospital, the Mental Health Association, Chautauqua County Health Department, Evergreen Health Services, CASIC, and the Hope Coalition, as well as many others, will be joining us to provide information to everybody in our community so that they know how to talk to their children and their grandchildren and their neighbors about prevention, knowing what combinations of drugs can be instant death, knowing the harm that can come from using any drugs. We're going to hear from people that will talk about harm reduction. If you're going to use, don't use alone. We're going to hear from people in the recovery field. There is recovery in Chautauqua County. We have the pieces here. One small piece that we don't have is transitional housing, a housing facility where people can live safely to get back on their feet and give them an opportunity to be reintegrated into life, into society. Being a drug addict doesn't have to be a death sentence. You don't have to continue that journey. There is help here. If you could please join us, we have lots of information for your review and for you to take home. Please see us this Saturday.